Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode number 12 of the Sim Racing in Focus podcast. It's been a slightly longer than usual gap in between episodes, but we're back after a little busy period and we're ready to talk all things sim racing tonight. On tonight's episode, we're going to do a little bit of a news type episode where, as I'm sure most of you will be well aware now, there's been some rather big developments with one company known as Fanatec. So we'll try and get into a little bit of detail regarding those people, that company. And we've got some peak special event season coming up with iRacing. We'll do some race recaps, a little bit more news. And of course, I am Dean Reddit. I am your host and the owner of simracinginfocus.blog website and also this podcast. But happy to once again welcome back the friend of the podcast now, because he's been on for 3 episodes. It's Jacob Hughes. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you? Sorry, that was like really, really formal. I feel like I was a kid getting. I feel like I was a kid getting addressed by the teacher. Like, good, thank you. How are you?
Did I manage to convince you for a little while that I was somewhat professional with this?
Yeah, I'm just trying to match the professionalism.
Well, I'm 3 beers in, so things are flowing a little bit better than what they normally would.
Meanwhile, I'm over here having a cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, there's a problem right there. It's a Monday night. You need to start the week right.
I know.
Mate, yeah, it's awesome to have you back on again. And it's really good to be back actually just on the podcast. It's been about 3 weeks. So I've been starting a new job. People on Facebook would have seen me posting, just sort of perhaps didn't give a great idea of when I was going to be back doing the show, but certainly knew that I was trying to focus on the new job. But Jacob, you've also been busy in that period of time. What have you accomplished in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I finally moved into the new house that I started building about 10 years ago.
No, it doesn't make you. Well, sorry, I should say it makes total sense now why Australia has a housing crisis.
Yeah.
When it takes so long to build a house. But that is awesome. I'm so pumped for you to finally be through that.
Yeah, no, it was painful.
It was stressful. But that's awesome. So it's cool. It's awesome to have you back on, and we can get into these newsy type episodes where it's just awesome to have someone alongside me that probably knows more than what I do. Yeah, helps.
Yeah, not by much, but just remember that. Not by much.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have to kick off at the top of the show tonight with the big news this week, in the last couple of weeks, and that is Fanatec going into administration. Fanatec, for me, is probably going back 6 years, probably as far as Australia was concerned back then, was probably the distributor of the best quality products in Australia that weren't imported.
And now they're going to be the best-selling product of RGB.
Yeah. Which, for a man that's got more RGB in his house than a Mardi Gras parade, I'm imagining you're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen. Can't wait to buy some Fanatec bloody GPUs and then some Corsair wheelbases. And
all right. Okay. On a serious note, yes, they started out I think back in my time, Thrustmaster Logitech, you progressed through to a Fanatec. And this is obviously before SimuCube and everything would become distributed out through Australia more commonly. So even back there 6 years ago, they were a big company, obviously global, responsible for transactions in hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And then we think about sim racing through COVID times. We think this is only going up. Bigger demand should equal bigger profit margins for companies, but then we get this news. So was this a surprise to you? What's your initial feeling about this? And then I'll give you mine, but yeah, what's your initial feeling about the Fanatec news, and does it bother you, or is this something that you thought might have been coming?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like we all knew that they were going through a bad period. In the last sort of 12 months or ever since that Black Friday sale, like, it all sort of fell apart from then, and it just didn't seem to get better at all. And then the CEO being sacked and everything, and then it was kind of like, yeah, it got to that point where it was either like they're either going to go bust and they're just not going to exist anymore, or someone's going to come in and save the day and completely turn upside down and try and see what they can make of it. And that's exactly what's happened. Kind of like, to be honest, like I was more expecting, I don't know, maybe another sim brand to come in, or potentially just a company that no one's heard of before. But for it to be Corsair, I was like, yeah, right, that caught me off guard. Was not expecting that at all. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but
Yeah,
see what
nice. You've
happens.
just taken my time lapse and just summarized it in 1 minute. But yeah, like, no, you're right. It's. I have to admit, I I don't. I kind of didn't see it coming. Um,
What
if
were
we
you
just
thinking was going to happen?
if we just dragged it back to just basic reactions, like how you're feeling, like because of like they've always been a little bit weird in almost protective in the way that they've gone about things. Um, in the fact that Fanatec distributes in Australia as Fanatec, and I don't even know anymore whether you can. I think you used to once upon a time be able to get them through via Pagnian, but there was a markup. So it was always cheaper in
Yeah,
the first instance to buy through Fanatec. So they're always like safeguarded in a way where they were commanding anyone that wanted Fanatec was going through them.
yeah,
And um, and obviously because they were global, like you're thinking they've got there's there's not a whole lot of reason here why things might be going belly up. But one thing that was always consistent, even when I very very first brought the wheel or pedals or whatever it was with Fanatec, was the constant rumblings about their customer service. Like it was
yeah,
always there. It was the same story. It'd be months before anyone would get responses, and that was the only chink in the armor that I guess that I could see that was long standing, was this constant feedback about customer service. And I was sort of thinking, well, people are reporting if you bought a Fanatec product in Australia, you complain to the Australian distributor of or Fanatec's Australian arm, who's then passing it on, and it's just something that's just getting lost in the quagmire of the escalation process or whatever.
yeah,
But and then for it, um, we look at their R&D projects over the last couple of years. So let's talk like obviously all the CSL DD or the DD GT Pros or whatever you want to call that sort of base entry direct drive system that was
yeah,
just targeted at the masses. But then they also had, the complex designs in like the BMW rim, which was, meant to be used in real life race cars, a one for
yeah,
one replica. You had the Bentley GT rim that was often flaunted, but nothing, I believe, nothing concrete's ever come of that.
yeah.
So all that's creating a picture in my mind that these guys are stable and they're progressing. But did you never got that impression?
No, not really. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said before, it's just the whole thing was just odd. Like I don't know, because like they've always been so silent towards they've obviously got a bad reputation for customer care and everything else, and um, they would always always post things online, and the comments would just be like roasting them, and like you just never see any bite at it. Like it was just, yeah, it was kind of like they were just turning. a blind eye to all their problems and just going, "Oh, people are still trying to buy our stuff, so whatever." And it was, you know what I mean? Like it was, yeah. It's it's like
It
if
did,
things
yeah.
things are still selling, they don't care about fixing anything. Like it was, yeah, a bit odd.
For for a long time, not so much now. I think sim racing, the hardware industry's gotten so big now,
Yeah, massively.
that,
Eh?
that a lot of these newer companies, they were startup companies backed by a couple of people. This is going back a few years. This is how companies would come onto the scene: low
Yeah,
production, but usually you would pay for it, and you were paying for this high quality gear. These
yeah,
guys sort of went to that global scale first, and they were a conglomerate, not a. It made you feel like, yes, they were a sort of like Nike is a not okay. Let's not compare them to Nike. Let me just scale that back. They're not out there sponsoring Michael Jordan, but they're a massive company that just had a disconnect and like with
yeah,
their client base, and that was something you would expect with those massive companies. But yeah, a lot of the companies, newer companies, were maintaining a lot more direct
yeah.
communication, whether it be via social media or
And like a
whatever.
lot of the companies are like that too. Like there's a lot of companies out there that have poor customer service, and at the end of the day, if you have a good product that has no problems most of the time, then no one's ever going to hear about your crappy customer service. But Fanatec sort of hit that point where they were having continuous issues of all their products that the customer service sort of became one of their worst things about them, and it started becoming very public and well known that their customer service is poor.
Yeah, like I touched wood, I'd never had to experience it. I was probably a Fanatec um, client for about 2 or 3 years, maybe, before we switched over to Sim Magic, which you managed to convince me to do. So
Yeah,
kudos to you for that. We can look back on that decision favorably now. But, yeah, like I'm a bit saddened by it, if I'm being totally honest, because I actually, I'm lucky in the sense that I have had a good experience with Fanatec.
yeah,
Um, and I think, for me, I just don't want it to be a sign that there's now instability in sim racing again, where
yeah,
the COVID bubble's bursting
yeah,
for
absolutely.
these companies, and um, yeah, you just want to see growth and prosperity across the board, and this, yeah, unfortunately, is not a good indication. But let's talk a little bit of a timeline that you alluded on before. I think, yep, the first time, um, the customer service stuff aside, the first time the chink in the armor showed was um, the Black Friday sale. This was the GTDD products that were coming out for Sony PC, that cross compatibility unit where um, they had the Black Friday sale, which was a pre-sale. And they sort of alluded to maybe 1 or 2 months being, I think, the time frame in which, if you were to buy it on the Black Friday, that you'd be getting it. So around December or January.
Yeah,
Um, and it drags out for 5 months. And we've touched on it. I think we've touched on it, you and I, before in a previous episode of this podcast. I know I've definitely been talking about it.
yeah,
That one was one where I know they pointed it in Sony's direction, where they were saying it was a licensing issue or something like that for one of their chips, the
yep,
cross
yep,
compatibility. But when you look back at, I'm not sure what you would call it. Like, let's just say there's a business log for people out there that are interested in learning more about this. Will Ford and Boosted Media on his page had posted a link to a website. It's just called eqs-news.com. If you get that link, you can basically see every statement or PR related to Endor AG, which is the business name for Fanatec, and you can track basically a lot of information that was coming out at the time of the pre-sale and they were posting losses of net 5%, 7%, 8%. Make of that what you will, but there was some posts going on at the same time that there was a bit of a loss of revenue or profit margin, and but then in the same breath they also said that there was about $27 million of pre-sales that went for these products at that time.
Yeah, right.
So that's significant.
Yeah.
And so there's not a whole lot of information apart from the fact that they pointed in Sunny's direction as to the hold up. But obviously, when you've got a 5-month hold up when you're expecting a 1 to 2, the PR was, as you'd expect, packets pretty horrendous.
Yeah. No surprise.
No surprise. So, there's a few up. There's honestly there's lots of posts, but just as a brief summary, that transitions into February, March this year, and then Fanatec goes and starts talking with bankers where they've had a lot of their loans and capital that they've borrowed against to basically negotiate it. Let's call it I can't remember off the top of the head the term, but basically where they're going to defer the payments on the loans through to June, July of 2024 to try
basically
and stop
Fanatec went to a loan shark.
Yeah. Fanatec went to the loan shark.
They went to the local cash converters and they've, I need a bit of cash. Just going to give you these wheelbases, mate.
Yeah. Maybe they're the ones out there stripping copper out of the lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so and they get this day of execution, and then they have to meet a payment schedule, whatever, like that. But obviously, the CEO at the time, Thomas, is it Jackemeyer? Thomas Jackemeyer. There you go. He was required to do a whole lot of things, and where people might be aware, a couple of weeks prior to Fanatec announcing that they were going into administration or liquidation, he was stood down and replaced. So that was brought about by the banks. They requested that. So, and it goes. There's what do you call it? A placeholder put in. There's lots more details. This is a very brief summary, and they come in and they're then restructuring the organisation and also looking for investment, and that's where Corsair comes into the picture. As of about 4 to 5 days ago, they're looking like they are the investor that they've selected and going with. So they are coming in to hopefully bring the funds back up so that they can start trading again and not trade in a deficit. So what is your level of optimism for Corsair and Fanatec going forward?
I don't know, because I don't know. It's a bit odd. I think Corsair's been out long enough now to know how to manage something big. Like, they're a big computer company. They've had a lot of issues of their own over the years that they've had to get past. So I think to come in and take over a brand like Fanatec, that's going through a bit of a poor period as far as how it's being managed, as well as quality control issues. I think, it'd be good to see him turn it around, but I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be good. It'd be good to see it turn around and become a good thing again.
Do you think the industry needs Fanatec still? Are they good for healthy health? You don't. You just straight up. You don't think?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, you take a look and how much was like that Bentley rim and the BMW rim? Like those things are just worth so much, and like when you compare them to like a GSI rim and an Asher rim and all that, like they're just the quality is not really matched. But yeah, I don't know. Like I just think that there's we say it a lot, and there's a lot of other brands out there now that the only thing that sort of keeps people going to Fanatec is the console licensing. That's the only thing that probably if that wasn't there, then they'd be doing far a lot worse than what they are now, I reckon.
But that's a big deal, like to get a
Yeah,
cross
100%.
compatibility license.
Yeah,
You know, like yeah, like I wouldn't say I would want the cross compatibility right now, but you know, certainly I could understand it for people that enjoyed sort of not just your top end sim racing titles, but any of those other lower level titles that just require that plug and play aspect. So
yeah.
um, yeah, so I'm gonna go the other way. I think it's bad news for
Yeah.
the hardware manufacturers. I think that this is a sign that we've got some there's aggressive competition. How do I say this? There's aggressive competition coming out of Asia that is cheaper, and definitely targeting entry level people very well and making decent products. And I just don't know that these European companies have the means to match it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that definitely. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe they just sort of look at it in the sense that, like, this is a decent company. Yeah, it's got some. I was going to say teething issues, but they've got some issues they've got going on. Marketing, customer care, and quality control. And then, they're probably thinking that maybe it might be an easy fix to get it back up and booming again. Because like I was saying, like with that licensing thing for crossplay compatibility, like if you have a good product and you can continuously have it there ready to sell and ready to ship, then they're obviously going to make a lot of money from console players.
But the thing that didn't really resonate with me is Fanatec, outside of Logitech and Thrustmaster, seem to be the only company that would be capable to sell in a Big W or a JB Hi-Fi or something, tech story like that in Australia, or and whatever the global equivalent is,
Yep.
and take it to those guys. And
Yeah.
I'd never really understood why. In the beginning, it made sense. They wanted to sell and go through Fanatec and the name. They were the manufacturer and they were the distributor.
Yep.
But and I'm sure there's a good reason to it. But I'm just why are these guys not in my JV Hi-Fi? Why can't I just go down there and pick up
Yeah.
a CSL DD? Okay, because
Because
that's
there's
the
nothing
people
ever in
that
stock.
product. Yeah, that's the people that product's for. It's for the people that like Fortnite and Call of Duty, or in a bit of something, a bit of Gran Turismo or F1 or something like
Yep.
that they can just go into their JB Hi-Fi and pick these products up. So I'm not a marketer, I'm not a salesperson. I'm sure there's probably a reason why, but it's very hard for me to understand why that wasn't the case, where we
Yeah.
could
Yep.
only go through the Australian website for Fanatec products.
Yeah. That I don't know. The only thing I've ever bought from them is V3 pedals, and the rubber kit. And
Mhm.
I don't know. Like just that experience alone was just weird, and you feel like when you're buying it, because like it doesn't even tell you if it's in stock either. I think from memory, it just sort of says like it has like an availability or something like that, but doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. It's really. I remember it being really weird, and you sort of like were buying it, not really knowing if you're going to get it then or not. Like it was,
And then you would just get a random update saying it's like, I know what you're saying. So you would quite often, it would on the website it would say but never mentions. It does mention stock availability or just when it goes out of stock. You place the order for 4 days, going, what's going on? And then all of a sudden you get an update saying it's at your local, distribution hub for Australian Post or something like that. There's just
and,
well,
that's the other thing too.
Tracking with it all, eh?
Yeah, like you buy this product from, Fanatec, and then next thing you know, you get emails from a company called Endor, and you're like, I don't remember buying anything from the bloody Ewok planet. Like, what's going on here? Like, and then like it's just such an odd thing.
Your products are coming from Planet Endor. Yeah, like, that could summarize the postage experience. Yeah, yeah. That I've now that you mention it, it definitely tripped me out when you were getting this, because it's like, oh no, I've been hacked. Like you've just lost your data because you got some weird company message in you, but no, it's actually as we know now, the trading name or business name for Fanatec.
Yeah, I've just been scammed. I just gave bloody $600 to the bloody Ewok planet. Like,
no, that's why you had to buy through Fanatec. It was a direct line back to the motherland.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye out. Like, there's certainly I can't remember off the top of my head the debt levels, but I think it was in the 70 something million that Corsair's got to work their way out of the hole, and they're forecasting 24 million or something like that recovery up front or in the next month or so. So
yeah, we need to come up with a graph sheet that compares them to bloody motorsport games as far as debt goes.
Oh no, the stock prices. Yeah, we'll touch on motorsport games a little bit later on. All right. Well, that's a bit of a doom and gloom way to start the podcast, but that is the topic, I suppose, that's on everyone's minds at the moment. We're not the experts by any means. We'll have a crack and try and cover it the best we can. But there's been a lot of good comments and comment sections and threads going on out there in the community about it. So I did note, though, I tried to do some research. When I brought my Fanatec gear, I was straight into the Facebook page, which was Fanatec Users Australia or Users Group Australia or something like that. Not a whole lot of updates going on in that page at the moment.
It's funny. I actually was in a Fanatec Facebook group when I bought my V3s, and I only just recently left it because it just you open up Facebook and you get like a random comment or post from someone in there and blah blah blah. And I swear to God, like every time someone would post an issue, and that's pretty much all you saw in there. Someone would pose an issue with a wheelbase or whatever, and there'd just be all these comments of people going, "That's why I've sold mine, and I've been using like SimCube or SimMagic, or I've been using bloody Camus or whatever." Like they just, it's always comments of people going, "Oh, this is why I ditch them because they're crap." Like just like that's always the comments. Like there's never anyone going, "Oh yeah, no, you can do this or do this," and there's always the people commenting and just going, "Look, I'll no bother trying to get in contact with customer service because there isn't any," and it's just like it's just funny.
People I think Will Ford's owner admin of that page, so Fanatec Owners Australia. So it even says it right there I'm looking at it now in the title photo, group by Boosted Media. So obviously back in the day, Will, I'm assuming here, I don't know anything about Will or Boosted, but was in the early days had a lot of Fanatec products. So and he's also throughout that time maintained good contact with them, and he's always been pretty good with updating the community in that group about new products or customer service issues, and taking people's especially something around customer service or those product delays, taking them and going to Fanatec and sort of trying to drive things that way. So he's always been quite good. But I wonder now, if Fanatec Owners Australia becomes Corsair Owners Australia, and the problems that could lead to,
Yeah,
But
that'd be funny.
yeah, I wonder where that page is going to go. I wonder what Will's going to do with that. Moving forward, we'll have to keep it. I'll keep an eye on it. I won't leave just yet. All right. Well, let's move on. That's enough talk about the death of Fanatec. So welcome Corsair into the sim racing hardware market, and hopefully their endeavour goes a little bit longer than Fanatec's. Okay, now moving from the negative part of this podcast into one of the most exciting parts of the podcast. It's the time of year for the special events. I think this is one of the most exciting times to be on iRacing. This week, we're kicking it off with the Nürburgring 24-hour multi-class race. This one's got a special place certainly in Right Sim Racing, our team. It's always been a laugh, this one, and it's obviously around the full-length circuit of Nürburgring, or don't get me to pronounce the full name of it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, we're looking at an 8-minute 20-second lap time in the GT3 car. So, Packets, where are you at with this one? Are you excited for it?
Where am I at? The last time I was there, I sent the Hyundai Veloster over the carousel over the fence. So that's where I'm at with it. I haven't done it in a GT3 yet, so I'm pretty keen to do that. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to pull out, but I haven't done a single special event this year at all because of the uncertainty whether we're moving or not, or when the house is going to be done. So I've been pulling the pin on all of them, but I was nearly going to pull the pin on this one, but I've just managed to get everything set up in enough time that I can get a couple of days of practice in, which I was doing some earlier tonight. Pretty keen to do it. I think we're doing it in the BMW.
Really?
Yeah. it seems to be like the safe option. The only other good option is the Ferrari, it feels like, but BMW is just as boring as the BMW is. In iRacing, it's just such a safe option, especially around there. But yeah, it's going to be better this time, I hope, because in the TCR last time, that was boring as hell. That was horrible around there.
That's pure torture. And I love the N24-hour race, but the TCR, I'm sorry, I tried to do the Raw before the 24, the 2.4 hour
that's
race.
Right.
It was like I was scratching my eyes because on the embankments around Daytona, I'm thinking, when's this going to end? And it had only been 20 minutes into the race. Yeah. It was just torture.
I was actually really enjoying that race because I was coming second, and then I got rear-ended by an LMP3. But yeah, it was the only excitement at all in the lap was when you're coming into the bus stop and you had that weird oversteer feeling on corner entry with the TCR. That was the only good thing. Yeah. And it was that one little part of the track, and that was it. The rest of it was just boring as hell. But let's
not dwell on the TCR any longer. We want this to be positive. But
absolutely.
I said, this one's got the Nürburgring 24-hour. I thought when I first came into iRacing, I thought this would be the one that I least enjoyed, but it's turned into be my favorite event of the year. It's the very, very first 24-hour race our team did about 5 years ago together. I think we finished 10th in split 8. But to us, it felt like an achievement because anytime you can do the full race around here, and it's a race that you're never out of, even if you've been go
100%.
Get repairs, and because you just know that the vast majority of the field are going to have an incident at some point in the lap.
Absolutely.
And it's an easy one as a team manager to keep saying, stay in the race, keep going, stay in the race, keep going. So I love the 24-hour of the Nürburgring. I've got a bit of a checkered history with it, especially last year when I tried to rock up to the event after a few Saturday night beverages.
Not a rookie, mate.
No. Infamously saying that I'd be fine, I'm not a rookie, because I'd got 3 or 4 M24 hours under my belt, including a P3 finish in, I think, split 2 the year before. So I was feeling very confident and, dumped it coming onto the last straight and on the first lap. So, and then proceeded to wipe out quite a few other cars in the process. So that was a bit of a let's say, confidence destroying, seeing the Porsche crab at 45 degrees all the way down the straight. But, we get back in and we keep going. I can't remember where we finished that race, but that was a funny moment nonetheless.
Yeah, I think everyone just tried to forget that one. Myself included.
Yeah. But, so yeah, we're going to go this week. We decided yesterday that we're going to have it. Can you imagine what it would be like to be in a team that's organised like for this event? I couldn't.
There'd be too much stress because it's going about it this way. There's no stress on doing good.
Yeah. At this point, we still don't know if we've got a full roster, but we'll give it a crack and see where it ends up. But it's 24 hours. Got a plan for the whole night, so we're not sure even what split we're going to do yet. Whether it's going to be the Australian split, which usually kicks off around about, correct me if I'm wrong, 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning.
About that.
Yeah. And then you've got the major European split kicking off around about 6 p.m. Australian time, give or take an hour there. I think I've never been great with the start time, so don't take that for gospel. But yeah, I do like to do the earliest. I know the serious guys will always go to the European split, but
yeah,
I think this event, the multi-class aspect of this event is what makes it so fun as well. So I don't, the European split, awesome. I'm a mug. I'm pretty hopeless. And I think I just don't want to be in a split that's all GT3, and that's what you get.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah,
you're either.
I don't think we'll be in that, but
yeah, you gotta. I think so. Yeah, that's the danger of the European split. Is your top 10 splits might have a good mixture of TCRs and what's in it this year? TCR, Porsche Cup, and GT3.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? There's no Toyota, is there?
You got the Toyota 86s in there as well.
And the Toyota 86. So usually,
GT4 and TCRs and
So usually the top 3 or 4 splits have a good mixture of all cars, but then you start to lose categories as you further you go down, and your popular classes really take over. So yeah, I like doing the Australian split for that reason, where you seem to get a few cars from every class.
Well, that was like last year when the TCR and bloody I'm in there lobbing up with bloody 2.5K iRacing. And then because hardly anyone was doing TCRs, we're in like top split and like people with 9K bloody iRacing doing GT3.
Doing like 8-minute, 10-second laps. Yeah. I remember the first year we did it, the Mazda MX-5 was in it.
Yeah.
That was chaos.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the TCR would be bad. Imagine doing it in the Mazda MX-5. I remember most of the people in our split. Yeah, most of the people in our split did like the first 6 hours, and then they put the car in pit lane, and then whoever showed up the next day, if we started at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., people would race till the afternoon. Put the car. Most of the field did this. Put the car in the garage, just stay logged in, and then come back at like 6 a.m. Sunday morning and just do the last 3 hours. Those are the people that won the race in that class. That was about, and I don't blame them, to be honest, with how the Mazda is. Like, can you imagine what does it be, a 12-minute lap maybe?
Oh, yeah, easily. It'd be somewhere up sort of 9-10 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's got to be longer than that. I think the TCR was 10 minutes.
Oh, I can't remember from memory.
Well, if the GT3 is 8 minutes 30, like a slow lap would be 8:30, but let's say 8:20 and down to 8 minutes 10. The MX-5 is going to be well over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
and that's just torture.
Yeah.
But topic we might touch on in another segment later on. I guess the iRacing hosts numerous official special events. The non-official special event, I don't know what they technically meant to call it. It's the Le Mans 24 Hour. The iRacing can't call it that, but there is a private league, major series, run their own one, and it is a top-notch special event. Did it for the first time last year, and oh my god, I'm really pumped for this one. We're looking at LMP2 for this particular endurance race. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually pretty keen. I can't remember why I didn't do it last year. I think I had something on, but yeah. I'm back on the LMP2 hype, especially since rain, because I think it's just so much fun in the wet that it'd be cool to do this, I reckon.
Yeah, this is a really quality runs. League in general, the major series. Most people that have been around iRacing now know the major series. You can get, they don't just do the Le Mans 24 hour. They just call it the Majors 24. It's called. So obviously there's naming rights issues, but they do this one. This is the one that I look for, and I think many other people look forward to most. Last year there was almost 900 entries.
Yeah, it's hectic, eh? It's about the same as an official.
Like, can you imagine for a league? Like, there's an entry fee. Like, I don't know. It works out. Geez, I can't even remember now. I'm not sure if it was 40 Australian or 40 US.
It's $40, I think, for a team.
For a team. So 4 to 6 guys usually in a car like this. So it doesn't really work out to be too much per head. But when you've got 900 entries, they're doing all right out of it. And they do a very, very good job. Pre-quali in the weeks leading up to it, everyone's got to get in. I can't remember if it was 6 laps, 4 laps, something like that, and then that'll determine your split. And last year there was 16 or 17 splits, something ridiculous like that. So, if you're bummed about the iRacing not being able to do an official Le Mans 24 hour, then the major series is the one that you got to look for. I think from memory, the year before is the year that iRacing lost the rights, and we missed out, and I had no idea about the majors Le Mans 24. And then we see the streamers go up. Everyone just unanimously just go up doing the majors 24 like as it's happening. And I looked at it and I just thought, oh no, we've missed out here.
There still is an official one too, eh? It's flies under the radar because they can't really promote it. But it's it was either the Creventic Endurance Series or the European Endurance Series. It goes there pretty much at the same time that the one's on. Yeah, it's just that they just pretend like it's in their calendar for that season.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're doing a good job because Buggerlugs over here is not picked up on that.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I thought you.
I only picked up on it because
before.
I only picked up on it because I've seen streamers. Like the streamers were fucking streaming, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, right. Didn't even know that was even a thing. Like, and then
and then I'll just say one more thing about Le Mans. I'm still a little bit disappointed that it's GT3 and not GTE. I know it's keeping with current time, but there's something about the GTE cars in that event specifically. I'm god awful at them, terrible. But the GTE cars in that event. I know it's important. You got to keep with current times, but they've got their own series back now as well. So there's a good loyal group of people that are still dedicated to that car or that series.
The GTE series now. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, like I've been so tempted to jump in and do that, I just haven't. I don't know why, but yeah, so
It's
many
just
times I
another
just think,
car, isn't it? Like there's so many
yeah,
around. When
yeah,
you've got
100%.
restricted times, you just the I guess the ease of the GT3 car is what makes it so appealing because when you're building houses and starting your jobs and you can just lob into a race with one of those
Yeah,
and not need to dedicate the time to it that you do for the other cars. Um, so if you had to rate the Nürburgring 24 hour or Le Mans, then I'm going to throw another one in there that I would find it hard to place these in an order of preference, but to sort of cap off what I think is the golden period of the iRacing special event season will be the Spa 24-hour GT3 series, and that one's been a big hit with our team as well.
yeah, we I think like out of all the events, like the two biggest ones that stand out to me in the last couple of years has been the Daytona one and the Spa one. Um, that we usually had multiple cars in. And then, the Nürburgring were probably like the second up from that. But yeah, the Spa, even myself, I love Spa. It's just such a good one when you get into a rhythm. It's just such a good track to drive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for a GT3 car, that's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nurburg, the Nurburgring's got the sentimental value to me. The Major Le Mans, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most this year because, like you said before, LMP2 has been a lot of fun getting back into that car.
Yeah.
And then the Spa for the single class car, that one's always been, I would say, probably our most competitive. Like we've been quite strong in that event, haven't we, in times
Yeah.
gone past? So um, you know, so yeah, good. Good. I'm sure there's plenty more that we're missing out on, but I'm picking those three out as my main three special events. Anything else that you would throw in there as a special event that you think should be mentioned?
Um, nah, they're the ones that I usually like to focus on. But like, it was funny. I was only just thinking about, and these ones are pretty regular, but it's the NEC endurance races. They're the 4 hour Nürburgring ones, like that. I think it's the Nürburgring Endurance Cup or something. I think it's called, or something like that. I could be wrong. But they're on like every weekend or every couple of weekends, and that one's, what is it? GT3. Actually, yeah, it's the same lineup as the 24-hour run. So it's got the Porsche Cup car in there, TCR and whatnot. And I'm just like, they're 4 hour races. And I'm like, oh man, I want to have a lob at doing the Porsche Cup car in an endurance race because that'd just be awesome. And it's just like, they're the type of cars that I want to have a lob at in doing endurance races. Like I want to try and sort of push at the boundary a little bit than what I'm used to because, every endurance race is either the LMP2 or a GT3.
Yeah,
And I want to just do
you,
something a
you
little bit different.
you did put forward the Porsche Cup car as the potential Nurburgring car for us this weekend.
Oh, I really want to do it, but I I haven't put enough seat time in. That's a car you need to put seat time in,
When you
and
said
like
that, I'm like, that's death, but that's going to be an
yeah,
exciting death.
that
Like
car around the Nürburgring is so much fun. Like it's the best car you can drive around there, I reckon. But it's just, yeah,
it's
you
chaos.
need time of it. Yeah, you need time
It's
of it,
just pure
especially on
chaos.
the last lap. Yeah, especially on your last lap when your tires are fried and you're a bit almost out of fuel. Like you just, it's the point of, you don't normally push a cup car in any race. Um, so yeah, you need to put time into it, and I just don't think that picking that carb only a couple of days beforehand would be the way to go about it.
How do you reckon it'll go for participation?
Yeah, I think it'll be high. I think,
It'll
yeah,
be a
for
good car
sure.
to see in the broadcast splits. That there's a good field in that
Yeah,
one.
like the Porsche Cup, like splits, like the fixed and the open one, like they're always full. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people will be doing that for sure.
All right then. Well, let's move right along. We'll cover off a couple of the series that we've been following now with some race results. It's been a little while since we, um, I guess, talked about them on the show. We've been doing a lot of guest interviews leading up to the little break, and then obviously, we've had 3 weeks off. So I think spending some time to sort of update everyone where these are at might be a good idea. And we need to give some love to Ricky and Jimmy over there at the Premier Endurance League about their current season, which is now approaching the final round. So it's had 4 rounds. It's our GT3 series. We did cover round 1 on the show, where they went to Mugello and they had Owen Coleman take out the win there from Nick Wood and Adam Jepson. The second round went to Circuit Aragon, where Richard Mayer took out the win, then Owen Coleman was in second and Andrew Dutch third. Owen Coleman then had a pretty commanding win at Zolder in the rain over Ben Jeffrey and Stuart Shaw. And at Motegi in the most recent round, Owen Coleman once again took the win out from Adam Jepson and Ben Jeffrey. So that's 3 wins out of 4 races for Owen Coleman. So he quite clearly stands atop of the standings from Ben Jeffrey in second, Stuart Shaw in third, Adam Jepson in fourth, Richard Mayer in fifth. So, Packets.
Stuart? I might be wrong. I have a feeling Stuart Shaw was leading the Motegi one, and then he had the pit in the second last lap or something. They get fuel. Something like that happened like in one of the races. Unless it
that was
Zolder,
the Magello round. The Magello round, okay. Stuart. It could have been Motegi, but I know Stuart in Magello put it on pole in his first race.
Yeah, that's series, right. That's right.
Debut, and he led for like 80%. And Owen was there in second, but Stuart had to do the slash and dash, and I think he ended up coming about 10th that round. So, he's and I just wanted to give a quick sort of recap of what's happening, because we're coming up the final rounds at Spa on the 2nd of June. Owen's got a pretty big win. I'm not sure mathematically whether he's out of reach or not from Ben, but this has been I dare I say, I think I've missed this series from a participant point of view for, the last couple of races. And I know you've been a big participant in this series, and you're looking at coming back now as well.
Yeah, I did Magello, and then I disappeared. With everything going on, I just I need to just put it aside for now. But I'm coming back for the final round at Spa, purely just to watch all the Porsches go off at Blanchimont. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I have to change Blanchimont to Crackneck. I think it's probably the most.
Yeah,
that's about the motion that your head's doing when that Porsche just snaps there. But
you watch. I'll absolutely lose it in the Lambo there now, and I'll eat my own words.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got the ability to call the Porker a death trap when you're driving a Lamborghini, but you do it well. I'll give you that. It's a car that it may as well be speaking Spanish to me. I can't learn it, but I know the people that does suit, they tend to go really well in it. So, and you're there. You seem to always have a connection with that car, where most people can't.
It's an odd car to drive, but yeah, I know what you mean, because there's some tracks I rock up to, and just with the setup, and I'm just like, man, I just can't make this thing work. And I just lose the rear everywhere. But then there's just some times where I just hop in it and I'm just like, oh yeah, I can make this thing work. I think I always think back to the first season we did with Premier when it was the Long Beach race where I missed the pit entry for refueling, and I ended up having to tow, and then I went back out on track, and I was kicking myself because I was swapping fastest laps of the race with Scalzi, for every lap. We're just swapping back and forth. And then, I think overall I had the fastest buddy average lap time. And I was just I was kicking myself for that, because I would have been on for a good race that time. But yeah, it's just tracks where I hop in that thing and it just works. But then there's other times you hop in it and you're like, oh, mate, this is useless. What's going?
So yeah, the quickest lap time, but the slowest brain time.
Oh, 100%.
What have you made at Owen Coleman's season? 3 wins on the trot. I'm sorry, no, I should say 3 out of 4. 3 wins out of 4 races, 2 on the trot. I think a lot of people were expecting Owen to come unstuck in the wet weather. I believe he's a bit of a fair weather runner, likes the sunny tracks. However, he got a pretty commanding win in Zolder in the wet, so I know he's got a good lead, but are we looking at Owen as probably one of the guys that, well, probably the guy that's going to most likely take the championship? Unless he's in the Porsche and he does have to get through Blanchimont for 2 hours. So,
yeah, well, look, the real question is, can he win the championship if he gets a DNF in the Spa race? That's how I'd be calculating it.
if Ricky and Jimmy were feeling it, they should, do you reckon, rain at Spa? Just rain at Blanchimont specifically. And test how Owen feels. But maybe Owen's changed. Maybe he likes the wet weather now. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, I tell you what would be worse. It would be Spa and like a clear day with like a 55-degree track tap.
Just bake it. Baked pork in Blanchimont.
Just absolutely hot as hell. And just watch every single Porsche just slide off the track.
Oh, you're a cruel person. No, he's credit where credit's due. Owen goes really well in this series. So, haven't seen Nick Wood much after round 1. So, not sure where Nick's at, but he's obviously last season's champion. So, I'm not sure if Nick's been continuing on. Haven't managed to get a good viewership on the last 2 rounds. Just been monitoring results. So. But Stewie Shaw, we mentioned there earlier, in his first season, just want to give him a massive shout out. He's been a massive supporter of the podcast as well. He's always liking and following, and and you can throw Mark Foster into that mix, and Jimmy Middleton and all those guys. So just wanted to give those guys a bit of a shout out, and thanks very much for following along. I know there's probably more people that are Timmy Mulford and Latham Leonard as well are always supporting the show, so it doesn't go unnoticed, guys. Thank you so much. Just a little sidebar there for them, but Stewie's been pretty strong, so hopefully he'll be back again next season because he's one that could probably take it to Owen. You'd think over the course of a season.
Yeah. We have to have a little chat to Ricky, I think. Try and get myself demoted down to Challenger class next season because I'm useless at the moment.
Although, do you remember where you qualified for round 1?
I think it may be 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't keep doing that if you want to go down to Challenger class.
Yeah. I didn't finish 10th, but
no.
And it wasn't any higher either.
No. I remember you going to that race saying, shout out to another one of our teammates, Dan Magri, who's been good in the Premier Endurance League. You were wanting to take it to him and you were so motivated, and then you've not been seen since. But I can relate. That's usually how I talk things up and then drop out, and I've been terrible. I need to get better at staying the course and racing through a whole championship. That's what it's about. It's not about doing 1 or 2 races and dropping out.
I put so much effort into testing too, like before round 1. I put so much effort into like trying to pick a car, and like I was like, nah, I don't want a mid or rear engine car. I want to drive a front engine car. I'm like, I never do it. I'm going to do it. And then I was just like back and forth between the BMW and the Mercedes. And then I was just like, none of them work. I'm like, ah. And I was like, nah, I'm not driving the Lambo because I said I wouldn't drive the Lambo again in the league. I was like, nah, I'll drive the Porsche. And I was like, everyone's driving the Porsche. I'm like, what am I doing? I'll do the Audi. Nah, Audi's not working. Blah, blah, blah. And then I rock up with the Lambo. I was like, oh my God.
It's
what
literally
do I do?
like
I do this to myself?
10 hours of testing, you may as well just throw it down the track. But I'll say this, right? And this is the thing I think with the Premier Endurance League, okay? When people, once again, if we give it a brief overview, they're 2-hour endurance races, and they're usually on about one weekend a month. So you get a month in between races. So if you're preparing for a season and you've got 3 or 4 weeks to prepare in, and you're constantly hammering round one track, I think, like, whilst you can get dialed in with a car, you don't know how that's going to perform over the next 5 or 4 rounds. Like, yeah, it's probably fair to say that you're going to have, decent performance compatibility with those other tracks, but like, I just running what you want to run at the end of the day, I think, is always the best, as long as you can keep it on the track. Like, yeah, and you've got some sick relationship with a Lamborghini that I don't understand, but it works.
Man, it's so funny. The Lambo was absolutely rapid there. Like, because I think I started 10th or 11th or something like that. And I remember the first few laps, like, I was overtaking people left, right, and center. Like, I was making some really good spots. It was the first pit stop for fuel and tires is where I come unstuck because I braked way too late, and I got to stop and hold. Yeah. So that absolutely just done me in. So I fell right to the back. Then there was a safety car, and then on the start of every safety car, like, the thing was just rapid, and like the biggest part, because Mugello is a hard track to overtake. Like, it's not easy. It's like, with the way the curves are there, everything's off camera and whatnot, and you need a wide run to be able to make a lot of those corners and make them fast. So, like, trying to do the dive bomb doesn't really work in a lot of places unless it's turn one. And the Lambo, for whatever reason, in the turn 8 and turn 9, which is like a double right section, the Lambo was just rapid. Like, and I was able to get so much speed into turn 8, and then you could. It was so funny. Like, I don't know how I didn't lose the rear, because, like, they've obviously changed something in that car, because it would have just snap oversteered doing this in the past. That you could just feed it and just light up the rear and have the thing sort of hanging out a bit, and the thing would just grip up. And, like, in the past, it would just snap oversteer, like, straight away doing that. And the thing would just have such a launch out of turn 8 that by the time you hit turn 9, you're already beside the next car, and it's such an awkward corner that they have no choice but to roll out of it. I made so many spots up in that, like, just those 2 corners alone. Consistently, and it was, I even scared Jimmy at one point, I think, in the Ferrari, because I think I went back and watched the stream, and it was just funny. Like, it was like really caught him off guard that I was able to get it in on him there. Like, it was just funny. But for whatever reason, man, the thing just worked really well. But they have done something to that.
Yeah, and it seems to be a car that, once, because it usually has low participation because of the difficulty of drive. I don't know how it's been just in this most current season, but
it's had high participation at a lot of tracks this season, IMSA,
yeah, nice.
And like the GT3 VRS series.
Which I'm glad that's the case, because I think that it's got reasonably high participation when it comes to real life GT3, so it should be reflective in the iRacing as well, that it's got some usability. But well, let's go in. So that those standings that we just read out were for the elite class. So let's cover off the challenger class now. So quick, speed run here through the results. So round 1 at Mugello, Isaac Norman, I got as taking the win from Nick Bottrell and Adam Holland. Round 2 was Brock Cadday, Mark Foster and Dean Hunt. Zolder again was Isaac Norman, Rain Campbell, and I've got Isaac named in there twice, so we'll have to clarify that. And then the next name is round is Isaac again, taking the win at Motegi from Mark Foster and Paul Gray. So we'll have to clarify that, because the actual overall championship standings has Brock Cadday in first, Mark Foster in second, Matthew Kidd third, Isaac Norman fourth, which you'd think would be a little bit low considering the amount of times his name appears in the results or the podiums, and Nick Bottrell in fifth. So any names stand out there to you, mate, about guys that are challenger?
Yeah, Mark Foster. Like I've said this to you before, you know,
Thickies.
the
Old line thick shake.
the old lime thick shake. In the
The old
last,
Thickies Foster.
yeah, like since the last season, he's definitely stepped up a lot, I think, and found a lot of consistency and a lot of pace. Like there's been a few rounds there where he's just had a lot of pace and he's like up there with all the elite guys. He's definitely starting to do like really well. Don't know if that's just because he's been putting a lot of time in, or if it's because he's finally come to his senses and ditched the Macca. It might be that, might not be that, but yeah, he's definitely
that's played a role. I think.
Definitely, yeah.
I think it's
but
fair to say ditching 1984 McLaren's played a role.
Yeah, but yeah, no, he's been doing really good. He's definitely surprised me a bit.
Yeah, I think looking Isaac is a name that stands out. I think he may have even finished in the top 5 at Mateki. I'm not quite sure. He's definitely had a few races where he's been very high up late in the race. And so he's got a good turn of speed on him. So he's an interesting name, one that we might expect to move through into elite, but we'll see how things unfold. Like I said, haven't had a chance to catch up with the guys at Premier again for a while, so fun to monitor. But yeah, a couple of names there standing out. Brock Cadet is a name that has been around for a long, long time. I believe Brock was quite involved with some teams a few years back, and he might be just coming back into iRacing, or he had a break or something like that. But yeah, he's leading the championship there in the Challenger class, so he's had a couple of strong finishes. So some good names all around. Even when you look down to like Nick Botchell, who's running 5th in the championship, that's a guy that I'm pretty sure has been in elite once upon a time. So he's another strong player there as well. So that Challenger class seems to be getting stronger.
Yep, definitely.
So that's a good sort of overview of where the Premier Endurance League is at. And yeah, we will go to Spa on the first weekend in June to decide both the elite and challenger classes. So keep an eye out for that. And then, hopefully in the not too distant future, we might even get Rick and Jimmy back on and we can talk through how the season went, and we'll preview season 2. So look forward to getting a chance to talk to those guys again soon.
Might have to get me in there with the conversation next time, because I've got a few questions for those boys.
Do you reckon that'll work? Do you reckon we could do 4?
Yeah,
it depends if Jimmy wants to tune in on his phone again, because that was outrageous.
Oh, Jimmy's calling in with the cup on a bloody string.
Yeah, cup and string.
Far out.
Boomers, eh? Like, what are you going to do about it? But, all right. Yeah, we'll have to send Jimmy out a PC or something that he can log into, so we can get them on and give them some quality time that they deserve. And that'll be an interesting conversation, especially if you get in at Spa and create a bit of havoc for that last race.
Definitely.
All right, well, let's give a little bit of a brief overview to Scops. Once again, we sort of touch base in round 1, round 2. But let's go into it in more detail. Round 1 was obviously Montreal. James Scott takes the win. Griffin Gardner in 2nd. Madison Down in 3rd. Phillip Island consisted of 3 14-lap races, I believe, looking at the table. Josh Anderson takes the win in race 1 from Brady Myers and James Scott. Then we have Dylan Rudd taking the win in race number 2 from Rick Kuznetsov and Jordan Ross. And in race number 3, it is James Scott back as the winner from Dylan Rudd and Rick Kuznetsov. And then round 3 was at Watkins Glen. James Scott again, taking his 3rd win in 5 races from James Maloney and Luke Rosella. I believe all that is finalised results. I got them off the spreadsheet table, so hopefully that's the case. The overall championship standings for V8 Supercars Online Premier Series has James Scott in 1st after 3 rounds, Jake Maloney in 2nd, Dylan Rudd in 3rd, Rohan Leonard in 4th, and Tom Freer and Luke Rosella tied in 5th. Round 4 was scheduled to occur prior to this podcast going out, it's been rescheduled to later in the season. Can't remember the exact reason for that, but it has been a little while since the V8 Supercars Online Premier Series last raced. But, James Scott is having a pretty strong season across the board. From season 1 in iRacing, we covered him taking out the... here we go. This is going to test me. The midweek V8 Supercar Series.
The East Coast?
East Coast. There we go. Yeah. I think he won just about every race in that season. So, so he's backing it up again by leading V8 Supercars Online Premier Series. James has been a dominant V8 Supercar driver for a number of years, but when it's come to Scops or Logitech, it seems like he has stepped up to another level again this year, and is now taking it to your Downs, Phil Sells, Burtons of the world. So Scops is in a very, very strong place, and unfortunately I wasn't able to try... it depends how you look at it, really. Fortunately or unfortunately, I wasn't able to try and attempt pre-qualifying for round number 3 at Watkins Glen. And I say that because I did attempt round number 1 and 2 and was just so far off the pace, it's not even funny. So, participation dipped again a little bit for Watkins Glen, but I still think we're hovering around about 100 people in pre-quali. So, Scops is as strong as ever now. I think it's safe to say. And have you had any thoughts, any sort of interaction with Scops over the first 3 rounds?
No, I saw the first 2 races, but the last few I've sort of lost a bit of touch with a lot of race series and league series at the moment. Need to play catch up with a lot of them, to tell you the truth.
Yes, I'm a little bit the same, where I just, the last couple of weeks I haven't been keeping on top of it a little bit, but it's probably worked out okay the way that Scops has just been in a little bit of a quiet period.
Yeah.
But when they pick back up again shortly, we'll hopefully be in a position where we can start dissecting the races and get a little bit more involved. It'd be nice to sort of do a little bit of touch on Split 2 a little bit as well, because I know there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in there as well. So, we'll keep an eye on the Scops in the future. But okay, the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. We've covered a little bit about this series so far. A little bit of controversy from round number 1. Let's get up to speed with where they're at. Obviously, round 1 went to Sebring. I think it might have been either the second or third amended race results, seeing Robert Gibbs get the win from Tom Freer and Hayden Veld in third. Phillip Island was round number 2. Jake Burton was reinstated as the race winner for round number 2. I believe it was originally given to Jared Filsell. He would be confirmed to finish second, and Jake Maloney finished in third. And round number 3 went to the Red Bull Ring, which had James Scott take the win, Ethan Grigg Galt in second, and Jared Filsell in third. Now, controversy. This series has had it all so far through 3 rounds. So the round number 1, let's just briefly touch on this again, had quite the viral. We probably wouldn't go as far to say viral finish, but well-viewed finish in the way that, there was a big incident with a few laps to go. So Robert Gibbs gets the win after Richard Hampstead was demoted after he won. So Yes, we've covered that one off well, Packets. I don't think we need to really talk too much more about that one. Or did you have anything to add?
Nah, you you said enough.
Yeah. I don't have a view on it either way. It's just been, I guess, it's interesting to see how they handle it through. Um, okay, we're talking about a series that's trying to be the most professional series, and so yeah, they've had a few. Um, posts go up about race winners to then only be retracted a couple of days later. So there's obviously, protests happening in the background. And everyone's at least being afforded an opportunity to have a say. But yeah, it leads to a little bit of confusion. And we've seen it again in round number 2. Again, probably, rounds 2 and 3, haven't watched a whole lot, just reading what's been coming out. If you're unaware, Logitech G Pro Invitational Series, get on their Facebook. You can follow their links through to the website, and they are doing a pretty awesome job, to be honest, at releasing regular blog articles, race coverages, interviews with drivers, all that type of stuff that you would expect to see in the real world supercars. So, I'm getting a lot of this information from there, and it looks like once again there might have been another incident late in the race between Burton and Phil Sell that had to see. Initially, I think Burton took the hit or was demoted from the race win, and then it got reinstated about 3 days later. So,
Yeah, I'd like to, I'd love to know the ins and outs of that, and what was said and done.
There's been a lot of commentary. Just commentary is probably a lot of comments. Just on posts and stuff. So you can see there's a bit of tension, but when it's high stakes stuff, I guess you're going to get that, irrespective of whether it's a sim race or a real race.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want. If I was a race controller in this scenario for Logitech G, this is how I'd be trying to frame it in my mind. They care. Everyone cares. That's why I'm copping this abuse. They all care. It matters, and that's what is important. It's important that this matters that much to somebody. So, talk about baptism of fire, though. We spoke about it after round 1, where there was about. It was reminded me of the Simpsons episode where there was the whole town walking down the street with pitchforks and torches.
Yeah.
And you're fronting up to that. So, I don't know if there's anything more to really say about it than that. But we're going to wait with bated breath. Time's starting to slow down now, so I'm really looking forward to maybe spending a bit of time invested into round 4 and just try and get a feel of where everyone's frustration levels are at. And get a bit of a chance to sort of hopefully unlock what's going on there. But okay, so after all that, Dylan Rudd has the championship lead by 8 points over Rick Kuznetsov. Tom Freya is further 26 points behind in third. Andrew Gilliam is fourth, and Jake Maloney is fifth. So the table is starting to, I wouldn't go as far as say it's even out after the round 1 fiasco, but we're starting to see a few names back up at the top there that you might expect to see in the V8 Supercar. But yeah, we will look forward to round number 4, which is coming up at Jerez on the May 22nd. So a little over a week away. So that'll be a good one to look forward to, and we'll catch up a little bit better with Logitech G Pro Invitational Series then. Alrighty, let's move out of iRacing now and into a little bit of exciting new content, and that is Assetto Corsa Competizione announcing the release of the Ford Mustang, but also, since we last spoke about ACC, they've had the Nürburgring release as well. So, Packets, have you ventured back into ACC to try these things yet?
Absolutely not. Look, it's not one that I sort of get into. I think if anyone's listened to my opinions previously, they already know where it sits with me, and it's sort of arcadey, and I do a couple of laps and I get over it. But I have been keeping tabs on videos of the Nürburgring footage as well as some streamers driving in it, and it honestly, like, it looks really good. Like, I won't.
You've been quite positive about it,
Yeah,
which is it's a nice change. It's a nice change
yeah,
for me.
yeah. The best part about it is the nighttime transition, and just so basically, like, and this is where it trumps iRacing in that sort of sense, is like the track on iRacing is so lifeless once you get into the Nürburgring area. Like, it just feels like I don't know, there's just nothing there, and it's just in general, there's nothing
You
there
feel
but
like
trees.
you're racing. Yeah, you feel like you're racing through a national park.
Yeah, literally. But in
Yeah.
the ACC one, like, the first turn into the Nordschleife, like, there's at night time, there's a bloody tent there with like laser lights in the sky because there's a bloody dance club going on there, and like, just in general, like, the track has so much life with it throughout it, and it looks really good. The way the trees and that look on it, like, they did a really good job of it.
That's kind of cool. Like, you bring on life to a track. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from, because even like in iRacing, you expect to see no life at the track.
yeah,
You almost expect it to the point that when something actually does happen, it's like this massive moment. And like, let me just cite this: the plane falling out of the sky at Daytona.
yep, exactly.
On these other sims, it happens at every single track, but it's like iconic to iRacers because it's one of the only tracks where something's actually happening
Yeah,
outside of the track.
the best way to compare, like, the iRacing Nürburgring compared to ACCs is, like, ACCs is what it is, and then iRacing is like the jungle mission on, like, the GoldenEye game on Nintendo 64. Like, how that looks like, that's just how you compare it and how different they are. Like, yeah, it's worlds ahead, and it does. They've done a really good job of it. And like I said,
I can't believe can't
what?
believe we just compared iRacing to a Nintendo 64 game. Oh my!
If anyone out there listening has still got GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, go play. I'm pretty sure the mission is called Jungle from memory, and just how that looks, and that's pretty much the Nordschleife
Yeah.
on iRacing.
Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. No, but they're bringing the life into the tracks, and that's cool because it's got I in my we've touched on it before. ACC just needs a little bit something different to keep you interested,
Yeah,
because there's only and like, I know, I get it. Like, they've got the GT2 one cars, two or one cars that are coming out now, but
yeah,
it still doesn't captivate me. But like, I'll always get on and have a look at those things because they do it well. The track, like you said, the life around the track. It's almost like you could just do a slow lap and just take it all in.
yeah, literally,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and it's all, there's something new to look at, and that's really cool. And they're doing a good job in that department. But that's, I guess that's the ability you have when you releasing such niche content for a GT3 series. But we'll keep following them along as they evolve this game. So it'd be interesting to see what happens once the Assetto Corsa 2 comes out. Whether we're going to see ACC. Hang on, whether we're going to
uh,
see if
what's it called?
ACC. It's
Assetto
a tongue
Corsa
twister.
Ace, I think it's called. Is it Ace?
Oh my god! Can we
Assetto
move away
Corsa
from
Ace.
A's and the C's, Assetto? Can we just?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's going to be
So
ACA.
once that gets released, I've got a feeling that we could be starting to hear about the next edition of ACC. Like, how long can they keep going? Are they going to keep going with ACC in its current form before they just release a whole new game?
Well, I don't know, like, because ACC was, I won't say dead, but like it wasn't doing much for a long time, and then like low fuel motorsports like literally just woke it up, and then brought the online community together for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like its user base is like way higher now than what it ever was in the past, and especially when you're bringing out the Mustang and Nürburgring and having things like low fuel motorsports, it's a good thing for the product. Like, so I don't know. I don't think they're going to stop with it soon, but I also don't think that the new Assetto Corsa is going to be a replacement for this. I feel like it'll be the second.
No, it won't.
The first AC,
No.
like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like that'll be more the case of it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it'll be a replacement. I just wonder that this will the new ACC. It's getting me again. This AC stuff is just the new Assetto Corsa Ace.
Yeah.
Right. It feels like this has been in development for a while. This has been their main concentration, and we're just been topping up ACC as we go along. When this gets released, okay, are we then going to be looking at ACC version 2? Or is ACC here long term? That's where I'm kind of feeling like they might head after Assetto Corsa 2. I'm not saying the rest of it gets released. I don't know. I don't know whether ACC is, in the next 5 years will be still the title that it is and not get replaced by something newer.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like ACC is sort of here to stay for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It is growing, and credit to them because, like you said, they did resurrect it. So, their other exciting piece of content, though, is obviously the Ford Mustang, which is a car that is just awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. Eh?
I love the Ford Mustang GT3.
Yeah.
It is just a sick car.
Yeah. I've seen that, who was it? Someone commented or posted that on Twitter. I think it might have been Dan Suzuki or someone. And they're like, oh, out before iRacing or something like that. I think iRacing commented on it with like the looking emoji. Like, and I was like, man, I hope they bring that out like in the coming seasons.
It just has to be an absolute ball terror. It has to blow your eardrums out. It's my single biggest gripe with iRacing is the sound. And
the muffled sound.
Yeah, ACC have done a good job with it, sound wise.
Yeah.
Visually, I don't know if I'm all there on visual. It looks a little bit blur, like
yeah.
I don't know how you describe it, cartoon. Anyway, and I just don't know if that was the particular video that I was watching of it, but it just didn't have that sharpness to it that you would expect from a brand new release car. But sound wise, it's good. In car sound, I haven't heard a whole lot of though. But geez, I just want a car in that GT3 class. The Merc's nice, and but just it is. It's a supercar in disguise, and that's kind of what it sounds like.
It is. It's kind of like it's like a fish out of water, that thing, because like, you've got all these, $500,000 supercars in there, and like they're still running, all their dashes and everything else, and they've got their digital displays like built into their factory looking dashes, and you sort of look at it from the dash and you know that it's a Mercedes GT3, and it's a bloody Lamborghini or an Audi, and then here you go, you've got the Mustang, and there's just like no dash on it, and there's just a digital display mounted up on the column, and it's just looks like a full blown mental race car. Like it's
got a SimCore dash strapped to the
literally
to the steering column.
It literally looks like the setup I'm running. Like it's just it's so cool. Like to me, like I said it to you earlier. Like, it's like a copy of the Australian Mustang supercar, like the previous gen, how it was. Like, there's just like no dash, and it's just. Oh, actually, the new ones are like that. Actually, the newer ones are probably more accurate. It's got no dash, and yeah, it's just got a digital display on the column. Like, yeah, it's just looks like, yeah, you got all these pristine, gentleman like cars, and then you've got this absolute ball terror just thrown into the mix. It's just like a muscle car. Yeah, it's funny. It's a lot like a fish out of water to me, but it's cool.
I wonder how it goes on cost comparison. Like, I was reading an article about what it costs to buy a real life GT3 car. And this is going back some years, so these figures are all out of whack, but there's a big cost difference between each car. They're like a kit car, so you can essentially buy them off the shelf. Obviously, the high level teams have got all the extra added gizmos. But let's just say at a gentleman's level, an AM level, you can buy these cars off the shelf. And I remember quite distinctly that the Ferrari was the most expensive. The Merc was up there. And then it sort of come down to your Audis of the world in that mid class, BMWs, and then down I think I remember that the McLaren was the most affordable.
Yeah, right.
From this particular article, and the variance was about $400,000 US between the most expensive and the cheapest version.
Yeah.
Of a GT3 car. Now, that will almost certainly have changed, but when you think about it, if you go to a car yard, what's more expensive, the Ford Mustang or the McLaren 720S?
Yeah, exactly. And that's
I wonder if
that's exactly that fish out of water thing. Like, it's just so different.
If you've got if the cost gap is somewhat similar, then you could be coming down even lower. And I remember those figures. They were around about, it was like 880,000 for the Ferrari, and it was about just shy of 500,000 US dollars for the McLaren. And I believe this was roughly around about the time that the Fanatec series kicked off, and the Fanatec is Fanatec's name coming up again. So we'll call it the Corsair Challenge now.
Yeah, that's what it's going to become.
This is an element we didn't think of before. What are they actually going to call the GT3 racing without moving forward in real life?
Yeah, the Corsair World Series.
Yeah, but the McLaren was leading the championship for the most amount of race wins overall by virtue of being the most affordable and the most run. So, they kept that global tally board across all the series about what manufacturer won the most races. At that particular time, McLaren was leading. I believe Audi went on to win it that year, but just interesting reading because you can pay a lot more for a lesser car, essentially, just based off the badge that's on it.
Yeah. Unless they're referring to the Mustang as the Shelby Mustang, and then it will obviously be there, but
you can polish the turd as much as you like. It's still a turd. All right, that's enough for ACC. Let's have a little update on Le Mans Ultimate, shall we? News released this week that share prices are on the rise, contrary to an article that we've seen.
That sounds like fake news to me.
Yeah.
That can't be right.
Yeah, contrary to an article that was written a little while ago that said they were on the brink. So, with the announcement that share prices are on the rise, there's also the announcement that there will be DLC, both free and paid, upcoming. And it seems to me one of my greatest fears with this title was that the 2024 cars were going to come as a paid DLC. My particular big issue with that is not all the 2023 cars were released in the original version of the game, so therefore you got an incomplete game when you purchased it. So you've already mentioned fake news on the share prices going up. I know I'm asking you to comment on something that you haven't probably tested or anything like that, but we already know what your gut feeling is on this. But how do you? Did you read the article and you call
Yeah,
me bullshit, obviously?
yeah. I don't know. I'm iffy about the share prices going up because last I heard it was going down. So I'm not sure what
Mm.
brought the spike on or whether it's accurate. But um, yeah, like I'm not sure unless the WEC series is maybe promoting it out of the blue because they do have the 24-hour race coming up, the virtual Le Mans in June.
Yeah,
So
they are.
whether that's being promoted somewhere that we're just not seeing overseas, like
Yeah,
for all we
it
know in
definitely
Europe,
is. Mm,
it
mm.
could be
It
getting
definitely is
promoted by
getting
WEC.
promoted.
Yeah, so
It
that could
definitely is.
quite easily be what's causing that if the share prices start going up. But yeah, for the DLC, yeah, I'm same as you. I just think, yeah, making people pay for that 24 one's a bit of a kick in the teeth. But I think, at the end of the day, the the make or break or the nail in the coffin will be whether they can make the landing stick with that virtual Le Mans 24-hour race.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
The success of that virtual Le Mans race is going to go a long way to easing a damaged opinion based on
yeah,
what happened last year. The share price is like it's smoke and mirrors. And the one thing that I found particularly interesting in that article, and the article's on Overtake GG, if you're wondering, for your own reference, they mention better than expected sales at launch. So when you launch your product with a $25 Australian price tag, what are you expecting the success of that launch to be? And better than expected can still be bad.
yeah.
If
Like that to me is like, and this is how I look at it because I know that what how so many of it people thought about it on release and all the issues it had, but that to me just looks like, oh yeah, we sold a heap of copies, that's good, despite how shit it was in release. Like it's just like, yeah,
yeah,
like
this game wasn't finished, but we launched it anyway,
yeah,
and it still did this well.
yeah. I find it funny, like how they like the word things, but yeah,
Yeah, it's done little to um, appease my concerns like about it, but I'm not sure if you caught the episode with Alex. He spoke very highly of it, and you know, we're I mean we're kicking it to the curb right now, but you know, ultimately I still plan on picking it up and when time allows and giving it a good proper test and I the PR or uh, the announcement about the share prices going up, I think it doesn't really affect my overall view of how it's been so far. It'll be ultimately when I get in and giving it a test. And but yeah, I just apparently there is some free content coming to the game. They're talking about potentially having a new car by June, and I kind of feel like that's underwhelming.
yeah, that's a bit how you go. I don't, yeah, I think,
Because they had four GT3s, one LMP2, and I think most of the hypercars.
yeah,
Yeah, it's underwhelming. You'd expect that it's a single. Well,
and only
I
so
know the
many
Rex
tracks too.
multi-class. Yeah, yeah. Well, there is talks of a couple of new tracks coming, but yeah, Wex multi-class. It's a single make championship, a single championship for the developers to get in line with. So, the fact that they've released what they have and missing so many cars, the fact that we're getting to get one car by June, the end of June, when the game's been out.
Yep.
What is it now? 4 months? Be
Yeah.
4 months or 5 months by the time that car comes around. Yeah, that is what I'm looking at and going, if you've only got the money to produce that,
yeah,
maybe this just they're the dots that I'm joining. So
yeah,
yes, unfortunately, it's still going to remain in the skeptical bin for me, Le Mans Ultimate, but we'll definitely keep up to date with how that progresses moving forward. But,
yeah. I'm keen to see how that virtual Le Mans goes. Like, you know, hats off to them if it does good. Like, hats off to them. Like, good job. But oh, mate, if that doesn't go well, oh, that's good. Oh man, it's gonna be gonna be the nail in the coffin, I think.
Yeah, you can spruik new cars, new tracks, DLC. I think you're 100% correct. The community's trust in the product will come down to how that goes.
Yep.
The 24-hour race. So we'll keep on. Well, like, I'm sure, we're going to watch it 100% and report back on how that goes. So that'll be the big test for Le Mans Ultimate. And yeah, like you said, if they pull it off, there's certainly some good things there that we can build on moving forward. But yeah, you just don't want to be lumped with continual pay DLC on top of continual pay DLC. But it's also not a surprise because their share price took such a hit and the launch price was so low that you kind of knew that it was going to be coming.
Yeah, and it is funny, we sit here complaining about $25. When we pay $1,000 a month just to play iRacing with everything we're to buy on
it. Only for them to turn around and make those tracks free a couple of months later.
Yeah.
In case of winter. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mate, it's been awesome to have you back on the show again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate. It's good to be back.
Hope you've enjoyed it. It's good to be back into the swing of things again after a few weeks off. So we won't leave it so long next time, hopefully, and you can jump back on. You do shift work every other week, don't you? So
yeah, I'm usually bouncing around.
Yeah, not always easy to get you on, but I'm sure we'll have you back sooner rather than later. But for as far as tonight's episode goes, that's going to do us. If you haven't done so already, please head over to Facebook, Sim Racing in Focus. Give the page a like. Do the same for our YouTube channels. Spotify, you can follow us there. Apple Podcasts as well. All of which will be linked in the show notes below. If you can jump on and do leave a like or a comment or anything like that, it'd be very much appreciated. And yeah, spread the word. We're back and looking forward to producing many more episodes. But until then, it's bye for now.